Welcome to the Joy of Cruising podcast with your host, award-winning author Paul C. Thornton, a weekly conversation with the amazing cruisers featured in the Joy of Cruising trilogy, comprised of The Joy of Cruising, Cruising Interrupted, and new release, The Joy of Cruising Again. Each book is a compilation of features about cruisers and cruise and travel personalities from around the world. It's the next best thing to cruising, hearing about cruising from the unique and diverse perspectives of Paul's amazing guests.
Hello, passionate cruisers. This is Paul, and this week on the Joy of Cruising podcast, I am delighted to welcome RacQuelle and Ron, creators of the fast-growing MH Family Adventures YouTube channel, Instagram platform, and Facebook group. MH Family Adventures is a growing YouTube cruise channel with 15,000 subscribers and 55,000 followers across their various social media platforms. FeedSpot lists MH Family Adventures as number 40 on their recent list of the world's top 90 cruise influencers. RacQuelle has cruised at a torrid pace since 2019, 44 cruises, and preparing to go on her 45th as a volunteer with Autism on the Seas. The special needs community is near and dear to RacQuelle and Ron. RacQuelle Major-Holland is a cruise content creator, travel influencer, and travel agency owner. She spent 19 years as an educator, that's Dr. Major-Holland to you, before stepping out on faith to establish with Ron Major Adventures Travel, which focuses exclusively on cruise travel. RacQuelle's first cruise was just in 2019, and she has dozens of cruises behind her on a diverse selection of cruise ships. Ron is a workaholic, and with the family traveling as much as they do, it has really forced him to learn balance, something he didn't have before and RacQuelle feels is extremely important in life. Ron has worked in accounting for the last 25 years and has served as a business consultant for small to medium-sized businesses. As the name implies, MH Family Adventures is truly a family affair. RacQuelle and Ron's 3 children, Andrew, Dice, and Joe, are seemingly in every video and photo, although RacQuelle travels a fair bit solo or with relatives as the kids have school schedules and Ron has to work and watch the kids. On several videos, I've seen where RacQuelle cruises with each of the children one at a time. As you know, I consider cruise bloggers, vloggers, and content creators as cruise community champions and have featured them throughout the Joy of Cruising trilogy and the Joy of Cruising podcast. Passionate cruisers like MH Family Adventures epitomize the joy of cruising. They are so passionate about cruising that they want to share it with the world. It is my pleasure to chat with RacQuelle and Ron and to share their story with the listeners of the Joy of Cruising podcast. Welcome, RacQuelle and Ron, to the Joy of Cruising podcast.
Thank you for having us on. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you very much.
So how you both doing?
Doing good. Just living the dream, trying to anyways.
One of us is.
So how are the kids? I see them so much. I feel like I kind of know them.
Yeah.
Say something about them. Andrew, Dice, and Joe. They are so integral to your brand.
They are. They're doing well. Andrew, as you know, he's a senior this year, so we're preparing for him to graduate. Our kids are involved in all kinds of sports, so when we're not cruising, we're like always on the go. It feels like. Yeah. So Andrew does Special Olympics. He's a triathlete, I guess. Yeah, he does track, bowling, basketball. Mm-hmm. Then our middle son, our youngest son, Dyson, we call him Dice. He keeps us busy as well. He's in cross country and track and all kinds of things. And then, of course, Jo Marie, she's our artist. She loves gymnastics and anything artistic, drawing and all kinds of fun things. So they kind of keep us
on our toes.
We're constantly on the go with them when we're not cruising.
Well, it's great to see them get exposed to cruising at such a young age. I wish I had that opportunity when I was a youth. So
Me too. Me too.
So, before we talk about MH Family Adventures, tell our listeners about yourselves. Where you each from, how'd you meet, where you live, professional background, anything you would like to share.
Okay, well, I'll start.
Okay.
I was born in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. My father was military, but was raised in Jacksonville, Florida. So lived in Jacksonville until started off as an educator. I was a teacher for several years and then went to school, got my doctorate in educational leadership and became a school principal. And I had done that for the last 12 years or so. My background is in education, but it's kind of changed over time. But what about you?
I'm originally from Providence, Rhode Island, left there in mid-'80s to move to Texas and worked for the University of Houston, graduated from the University of Houston, and work in back office accounting. And how we met is her brother introduced us.
So they're best friends. so it's been some time. We've been married. We just celebrated 10 years of marriage in November. So married 10 years together for a long time. Yes. But he's my brother's best friend.
Well, congrats on your recent anniversary. Hey, if I can be nosy, where'd you get your doctorate from?
My doctorate?
Yes.
Oh, from Nova Southeastern from Florida. Okay. So right there in Davie, Florida. I got my undergrad at Florida State. So went to school in Florida, and Nova Southeastern was
very familiar with both. I was in higher ed in Florida. My wife is an accountant, so I'm not going to say anything bad about accountants. So when and what motivated you to create MH Family Adventures, and how's things going?
Well, things are actually going much better than we expected, honestly. So this kind of started out as a dare by Dice. So during the pandemic, well, before the pandemic, YouTube was banned. I'm not going to say we shelter our children, but we kind of monitor, what they're doing on their devices and what they're watching on TV. And so YouTube was banned because we couldn't figure out parental controls and some things would pop up. So for years, there was no YouTube in our house. Well, during the pandemic, I had taken my first cruise shortly before the pandemic and fell in love with it. And we had several cruises booked for 2020 and, what happened, everything got canceled. Well, I started watching YouTube because I miss cruising, and I started watching cruise vloggers, and I'm like, oh gosh, this is making me feel good. Like I like cruising. My son was like, well, I bet you won't, because that was the thing. We're going to watch YouTube in the house now, but it's only going to be cruising. And so he was like, well, I bet you wouldn't create a channel. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't I? He's like, well, because you don't even let us watch it. It's like, well, maybe we will create a channel. So it started off actually as a cooking. I like to do a lot of cooking, and I've had people say, I would post a lot of food on my page. And people would say, hey, do you have a recipe for that? So I kind of started by just showing a few recipes, and those videos didn't do well. So it kind of just took off from there. And then once we started back cruising, I was like, hey, why not just show our cruise experience, and kind of taken off since then.
So when Dice raised that question about starting when you all started to watch cruise videos together, had the kids cruised?
Yes, they had taken one cruise. Hold on. Yeah, one cruise. We took one family cruise, and we had like 3 more planned for 2020. So we took our first cruise. I took my first cruise in June of 2019. And shortly thereafter, we had a trip planned as a family going to California, just to go to California to visit for about a week. Well, I loved my cruise so much that when I got home, I told Ron, I said, we might need to rethink, taking this land trip to California, because we can cruise a lot less, and have more fun by doing it this way. So we canceled all of our plans. And July of 2019, we took a family cruise out of the West Coast. And they had only taken actually 2 cruises. Because the pandemic, because we went on Mariner of the Seas Christmas, and then we had like 3 cruises for 2020, and then pandemic shut things down. So at that point, they had a taste of cruising, but they weren't in love with it like
So
I was. They hadn't
my
tasted it at that
follow-up
point.
question was, how are things going? Give us an overview of your various platforms, your YouTube channel, IG, Facebook group, whatever.
Yeah, so right now we're currently our major platform is YouTube. We do full-length vlogs there. And right now we're actually approaching hitting 15,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
So we're excited for that. Things have started to rapidly move on YouTube and social media. It was kind of slow growing at first, but now things are starting to really take off. So we're on YouTube. That's our primary platform, but we're also on TikTok, which is kind of recent. We did hit 10,000 on TikTok. So share quick shorts and things there about cruising. We're also on Instagram and Facebook, and Facebook is a rather large platform. We have about 22,000 followers on Facebook. So yeah, they're all of our social medias are growing, and we're super excited for it. So yeah, things are going well, and we honestly never thought we would kind of be where we are now with it. We just, took it as a dare from dice, and it's just started.
Well, right after this discussion, you'll be at 22,001, because I followed what I thought was all your platforms, but I don't think I knew you had a Facebook group, but I know now. So.
Yes, I'm on Facebook. MH Family Adventures on Facebook, and we have more follow. It's strange because we have more followers there on Facebook than Instagram, and we've had Instagram longer. Instagram just takes some time, I guess, to build up. But
so let's talk about cruising. I was going to ask, my first question on cruising was going to be, what have you cruised lately? But I know you just got off of Icon, so
yes.
So say something about Icon. And then I'll let Ron tell us about what y'all have cruised lately, because I don't want to ignore Ron.
That's okay. That's okay.
No, it's you are the consummate family channel. So.
So yeah, so I just got off Icon of the Seas. We were actually booked as a family for the inaugural, but decided to cancel just because the cost of it. We cruise a lot. And we had to start weighing our options as to, we had actually a family debate whether we were going to sail on Icon or take that money and book 2 or 3 more cruises. And everyone except Andrew voted that we were going to cancel Icon and book 2 or 3 more cruises. So that's what we did. But thankfully, I was invited by Royal Caribbean to take part in their media travel agent event, which took place before the inaugural. And it was awesome. It was my first time on a really large ship, because I haven't sailed any of Royal Caribbean's Oasis class. So this was my first really large Royal Caribbean. Yeah, so I've sailed Royal Caribbean, but none of their really large ships.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was an experience. It was very tiring though, because it was 3 days. And I really just worked and pushed out some content or created content, and was able to mingle with fellow content creators. But yeah, it was an amazing experience.
Mm-hmm. And Ron, you didn't go on that one, right?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I stayed back and watched the kids.
Okay. So on Icon, and I'm like you, I looked at the cost and I said, nah, I have a lot of cruising planned, and not like you. But besides, my wife wouldn't have approved. So
right.
but I do love the Oasis class. The one thing I tell everyone who tries an Oasis class, did you get a chance to see any aqua shows?
Yes. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. That was probably one of my highlights of the cruise.
Yeah, that's one thing that Royal Caribbean can say. I'm not saying they're the best line or anything, but they have that to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
No cruise can touch that. Well,
right.
No cruise line can touch the aqua shows.
Not at all. And what I learned during the sailing is that there's only 11 aqua shows in the US, and 10 of them are on Royal Caribbean ships. The other one is in Las Vegas.
Oh, okay.
So there's no other cruise line or no one else. So yeah, they announced that. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool to know. So 11 aqua shows across the.
Yeah, I know from some research I did in the past, some of those folks are Olympic athletes. I mean, they are top tier.
Right.
What's the last cruise that you went on that Ron was on?
Which one was that?
See, he doesn't even know.
I'm sorry.
I keep track of the stuff like I do. It was Carnival Magic for Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And where do we go?
8 days.
Thanksgiving of 2020. This just past Thanksgiving.
Yes, it's past Thanksgiving.
What was that your first? I should be asking Ron these questions. Was that your first Thanksgiving cruise?
No, we've done Thanksgiving cruises before. Did we? Hold on, there might be a pause there.
He can't remember. He does no planning for our trips. He just kind of comes along.
Yes. So please forgive me.
So,
was it our first one?
No, it was not. We've done two Thanksgiving cruises and three Christmas cruises so far.
Okay.
But yeah, we were on Carnival Magic and we enjoyed that cruise. It was 8 days, our first 8-day cruise as a family. And we visited two ports that we hadn't visited before, which is Curacao and Aruba. And we also had Princess Cays and Grand Turk.
Yes.
So it was a great time.
I just enjoy the water. I don't get into the planning like RacQuelle does, so I will just tag along. And usually I'm working because I can work remotely. So,
we're sort of the opposite of you all. I am absolutely cruise addicted and know all of the details. I do all of the planning, and if you were interviewing my wife and I, and you asked specific questions about specific ships, she'd look over at me because, we have a good time together, but she could kind of take it or leave it, I think. Sometimes she asks me, do we have to always cruise? So,
that's him.
So.
That's Ron.
I will say this, the MH Family Adventures, we believe in giving our kids experiences. So before the cruising, we always did land-based trips, whether it's DC, Chicago, Indiana. So this is just an extension of that because both of us came from families where we didn't travel a lot. And we don't really remember the toys that we got, but we do remember the times that we spent with our parents. And
very, very good. We were kind of the same way. When I was old enough and had enough money to do any kind of traveling, we did a lot of land. I got hooked on the all-inclusive resorts, especially in Jamaica, and then I found out about cruise. If it were up to me, I'd never go on a land trip again. But again,
right, same here.
That probably would cost my marriage. So what else lately have you traveled on?
Let's see. I'm just trying to get on as many cruise lines as possible. So last year I did 15 cruises.
Wow.
Last year 15 cruises.
Now of that 15, Ron, how many did you go on?
Maybe 6 or 7.
Probably about half, close to half. I only recently started cruising more regularly because I left the school system. So I kind of decided, I had my travel agency and social media and everything. And I was like, I'm going to take a pause from the school system. It's been 19 years and we'll see what happens. And things are working out to where I don't think next year I'll have to go back. So that's kind of the plan. But now that I'm home, I have that flexibility to pretty much cruise whenever I want. When there's a great deal or if I get some sort of partnership or deal, I'm able to just go because I'm home. So that's why I'm cruising a little more than the rest of the family.
Oh, wow.
This year, I think I still have 13 or 14.
So let's go back to the shutdown, the pandemic shutdown. I know that was tough on you all as much as you cruised, although you weren't cruising a whole lot then, right?
No.
Okay. How did y'all spend your time?
At home, working each other's nerves. It was different because at that time, like Ron, we weren't remote, so we had to get used to being in the house. The kids were here. I was still school principal or, working in school. So we were trying to help manage, kids working virtually and all this and that. So it was trying to manage that plus manage our kids going to school virtually. So it was a lot of that and just being home. I think that's when I started ramping up recording like cooking videos and things because I had time on my hands. So we we were just home. We really didn't do much of anything. once things started to clear up a little bit, we did take a couple of like land-based trips to like Chicago and Atlanta to, you know, get the kids out and about to do things. But yeah, we were just home. And like I said, that's kind of where the whole YouTube thing started, because, you know, I was getting bored and tired of watching the same thing. I was deep down missing cruising. And I was like, you know, let's see what in you know, I turned YouTube on, and my very first cruise vloggers that I watched was Para DJ. And they popped up. I think I watched all of their videos and then just started watching other content creators and fell in love with that.
So what was first cruise back?
First cruise back, which was actually our first cruise vlog, was Carnival Sunrise. That was, and I think that was cruise number 3. Carnival Sunrise, I took the boys on a mom-son cruise because we weren't comfortable yet with Jo Marie going out. I think at that point she was maybe 3. And so I didn't feel comfortable. No, not 3. Maybe 4 or 5. Yeah. Didn't really feel comfortable taking her out because she wasn't, you know, keeping her mask up, things like that. And they had the protocols in place, so you had to keep masks on and this and that. So I took the boys on a quick cruise. I think it was like 4 nights, and we had a great.
Now, I bet it was tough telling Jo she couldn't go.
Actually, at that point, she's really a daddy's girl, so she really doesn't. You know, wherever the boys are, you know, they're more like they want to go with me everywhere, and she's like, she's fine. So at that age, now she looks at me crazy when I say, "Hey, I'm cruising with, you know, Dice or Andrew." Now she has something to say, but back then she could care less if I cruise without her. So she was perfectly fine with that, and yeah.
So Ron, you probably were in your glory home with Jo.
Oh yes, she keeps me on my toes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I have 2 daughters, and you know, when I had to spend, you know, quality time alone with my daughters, I still remember those days vividly. So let's go way back. Let's go back to the beginning. You kind of alluded to it. Talk about each of your first cruises.
Okay. So my first cruise was Carnival Sensation, and that's what hooked me. And it wasn't going to be a cruise initially. I was trying to plan a girls' trip. And you know how it is trying to plan a group cruise. You know, people want to do it until it's time to pay kind of thing. So that started happening. We were originally planning to go to Jamaica at an all-inclusive. And we planned. And I've always been a planner. So I enjoy looking at like the resorts and looking at things and pricing things out. So I went through all of this work. And this is before I was a travel agent. I went through all of this work of doing this. You know, we had a group of girls like, oh, I want to go. And then I'm like, okay, well, today send your deposit. Everybody got to send their deposit. And it didn't happen. So I was like, you know what? I'm not going to Jamaica because the cost didn't work for me at the time. I said, I got to find something else. And then I don't know what happened, but cruising just somehow popped up. I didn't even really realize or think anything about cruising prior to this. And I don't know, maybe somebody said something about cruising. And I said, well, let me see. And the cheapest cruise at the time was Carnival Sensation. And so I asked my sisters who went with me, who are also now hooked on cruising. They cruise with me often. I said, hey, y'all want to try a cruise? And first they were like, no, not really. No, we booked it. It was pretty inexpensive. And we went on, and, you know, in hindsight, looking now, this was like a really old, small ship, but we had the best time. Like we didn't even realize that we were on like the smallest and oldest ship. We just had a really good time. We enjoyed going to the ports and everything. And like I said, literally, I got off the ship, came home and said, hey, we're canceling California. They were really excited. They wanted to see California. Our youngest son used to wake up in the middle of the night saying he wanted to visit California. I don't know why, but you know, we just said, okay, we'll go to California. So we really didn't have a true purpose for going there. We were just going to go sightsee or what have you. But when they saw my pictures and things from the cruise, and I said, hey, would y'all want to take a cruise instead? They were like, yes. So, and they went on and loved it.
Now, Ron's right here, so I'll ask him directly. How did you react,
I
Ron?
looked at the numbers, and the numbers made more sense when you could spend those 4 days and all the food, all the lodging, all the entertainment was included. Because when we take a road trip, you got the hotel, you got the food, you got the rent-a-cars. It was just, it nickeled and dimed to be more than what the cruise was.
You sound again like my wife, the accountant. She looked at the numbers too. Thankfully, today she doesn't look at the numbers, and I am so glad she doesn't, because I'm going.
Same here.
We're going on some bucket list cruises in the next couple of years. As I get older, I say like, I got to start checking some of these things off. So,
Yeah, no, he doesn't know anything either. So
I can tell you this: I do not know what any of the cruise costs at all, and I am just happy in that bliss.
All right. Well. Let's move on before Ron starts to ask some probing questions. So let me make sure I'm clear. So that first cruise on Sensation,
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And then the next cruise was you and the family.
Yes, the next month, I think like 3 weeks
wow.
later.
You couldn't waste any time.
Yeah, not at all. So we couldn't cancel or change our flights because we wanted to cruise out of Miami, but we already had the flights to California, so we just made it work. So we didn't have to worry about losing that money. And so we said, well, okay, we'll do the 4. So we still did 2 days in California and Vegas. Yeah. 3 days, I think, and then we went on the cruise. But we saved a lot of money doing that.
So on that first cruise that you went on with your sisters, had they cruised?
No, we haven't cruised, and honestly, I came from a very poor family. We didn't travel at all. The most we did was get in a minivan and go to Maryland to visit family, but we didn't go anywhere. So that was like my first time even out of the U.S. And no.
We went to St. Thomas.
Well, that's U.S. territory, but yeah, we went to St. Thomas. But it was my first time out of the U.S. I mean, and no, they hadn't traveled or anything, and they are.
Did they get hooked on that one first cruise like you? Good.
Did.
I always ask because I do a running tally, not really a tally because I don't have to prove it anymore. I have maintained that 9 out of 10 get hooked on their first cruise. So I would ask every guest, everyone that I interview, and between the books, I've written some books, cruise books, and the podcast, I've interviewed close to 200 people, and I'm very confident in my 90%. Now I do get some stories of people where it had to grow on them, but most people. Well, I was going to ask you, how soon did you cruise again? 3 weeks. That's like a record. It would take me 3 weeks to plan a cruise.
No, I don't think we had excursions because at that time I really didn't know a whole lot. Because I think even with our girls cruise, we didn't have anything planned. We just kind of winged it and went, and didn't have like Wi-Fi. We didn't really know what we were doing. So we just got up, booked it, went through the ports, did whatever. And so for our cruise, we pretty much did the same thing. We didn't have like excursions or anything. We just booked it and played things by ear. Now I plan all the details out.
Do you have, because you mentioned earlier you're trying a lot and trying everything and so on. Do you have a favorite cruise line and a favorite cruise ship?
I would say for myself, because I've done more than the family, I'm going to probably go with a recent cruise, which was Celebrity. I'm going to say Celebrity Ascent is my favorite. I'm not going to say my favorite cruise line yet, but my favorite cruise ship. My favorite cruise line is, I'm going to have to say, it's Carnival. That's more so because of the family, because I find Carnival to be very budget. We try to cruise, although people don't believe us because we cruise so much. We cruise very, budget friendly. And that's what we like to try to share with people that watch us, how you can do this, on a budget. And so I find that Carnival tends to have, the best pricing for families. They have, our kids would say, the most fun. Compared to the other cruise lines. So I would say my favorite cruise line is Carnival still. That might change soon as I continue on, because I've been on some cruise lines recently that I'm like, oh gosh, they're giving Carnival a run for their money. But I would say my favorite ship.
I'm not surprised at all about your favorite ship. I haven't been on Ascent. I'm booked, so I'll go on Ascent later this year. but my favorite cruise ship is Celebrity Beyond.
Okay.
Which is
very similar.
Almost exactly the same. And actually, just a little bit of aside, a little bit of promotion. I think it's about 2 weeks before this episode airs, I have an interview with Lisa Ludolf Perlow, who is the former CEO of Celebrity. Nice. And she launched, that class, the starting with the Edge and then Apex, Beyond, and now Ascent. Nice. So I asked her what was her favorite ship. She's vice chair of Royal, which is the parent company. And so I asked her what was her favorite ship across Royal, Celebrity, and everything. And she also said Celebrity Beyond.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, I haven't been on Beyond. I'm booked for later this year, towards the end of the year for Beyond. But yeah, Ascent is, and I heard they're pretty similar, but Ascent was
I can't imagine there'll be much difference. But I love Beyond.
It was great.
Let's talk a little bit about the future. Some great cruise ships are coming out in 24 and 25. Do you have your eyes on any of them? Plan to try any of them?
I want to try Sun Princess. So I went on my first Princess cruise last year and fell in love. I'm actually cruising 2 Princess ships in March. But I'm looking forward.
What ship did you go on last year?
Last year I was on Crown Princess, so one of their older ships. I was on Crown Princess and loved it. So I'm cruising here soon on Sky Princess and Discovery Princess in March. But I'm looking forward to Sun Princess because this is going to be like their first ship design more for families, because they're not known to be very family friendly. I mean, they are family friendly, but not like compared to a Carnival or Royal Caribbean. So I'm excited to see Sun Princess. I'm also excited to see MSC World America, because we cruise here recently, a lot of MSC, because I do feel MSC, just like Carnival, offers a great value for families or for people in general with their like drinks and Wi-Fi included and things like that. Now they have their quirks.
Tell me about it.
Because you were on Marbella, right?
Yeah, we went on for Christmas.
That's right.
So that's why I was asking you about your Thanksgiving cruise. We've done a lot of Christmas, not a lot. We've done 3 Christmas cruises, but never Thanksgiving, and I'm kind of intrigued about that. I don't know why. Yes. Seems like Thanksgiving would just be a nice dinner one day, whereas Christmas sort of it's the whole cruise is Christmassy. So
yes.
But so Meraviglia, you say World
MSC World America. I'm looking forward to that because it's going to be, if you hear a lot about MSC, they're European based, and when they first came to the U.S., a lot of their practices and things weren't necessarily like American friendly or things that how we would cruise. So it sounds like you're really trying to incorporate more of what we like and love with this ship and make it more family friendly and all of that. So I'm excited to see that, to see if there's going to be improvements in some of those areas that I don't care for with MSC, particularly like the food and things like that. So because I do believe, based on their ships alone, like how beautiful their ships are, I do, and their price point, I feel like they're kind of an underdog in the cruise world. And I think this ship is going to give them kind of that platform for people to see, yes, MS, because I get so many people that are like, I either get people that love MSC or absolutely hate it. Not many people in the middle. And I'm kind of like, I like them. I had one bad experience with them, but overall, I like them. I like the value, but it's because I don't cruise for food and I cruise for other things. And so the things that I hear a lot of complaints.
You want to say something, Ron?
Oh, no, I'm just being the silent type.
Which cruise ships are coming out?
So what do you have booked?
What do I have booked?
Yes.
For this year?
For the future. I know you said you want to go on Sun Princess. I'm booked on Sun Princess, but you'll probably get on it before I do because we don't sail her until April of 25.
Okay, so I'll be on Sun Princess. Actually, I'll be on as media. in October. So I'll be on October, and I'm booked for their US inaugural, but I don't know for sure if that's going to happen or not. It just depends on what happens with the cruise prior. I don't know how long that's going to be. If it's 4 or 5 days, and I'll let that be, and I'll cancel but I am booked on the inaugural. Ideally, we want to go as a family. So I am booked on that. I am also booked on MSC World America, but that's not until that's until 2025. I'm booked on that inaugural. We're booked on Utopia, Royal Caribbean Utopia of the Seas for July for the inaugural for that one. So we're trying to get on as many of the inaugural sailings as we can. To get that content, push it out, share with people about the ships and, how to cruise. And this is, kind of what to expect. But yeah, I have quite a few other cruises in between. I'm actually cruising in 5 days on Allure of the Seas, but I'll be cruising as a volunteer with autism on the seas. So that's my next cruise, but quite a few coming up. We're headed back to the West Coast in March. We're going to be on Carnival Panorama, so that'll be our first time back to
you mentioned
the West
autism
Coast.
on the seas. I'm kind of familiar with that. One of the earlier podcasts I did, we talked a lot about autism of the seas, and sounds like a great organization. You want to say a little bit about it for those who didn't hear that previous podcast that I had?
Yeah, absolutely. So Autism on the Seas provides services to families and individuals that are traveling with individuals with autism or developmental disabilities, Down syndrome, things like that. And what it is it's volunteer based. So like I will serve as a volunteer and just go there to help support. This will be my first time volunteering. I've been kind of part of the Autism on the Seas community for some time, but I haven't, because I was in the school system, I didn't have a chance to actually commit to going on one of the cruises. But now I'm available and I can do it, whenever I have time. And so they pretty much at this point work with Royal Caribbean and Disney and provide cruises for families where we are there to help support the family with whatever they need for their family member or friend that has autism or developmentally disabled. And just to kind of provide some sort of respite for them so that they can enjoy their vacation and then also enjoy the vacation as a family. So it's really just a support system for those families to kind of, come in and help, if there's any, time needed where like the family just wants to have dinner, we're with the other individuals and we're there to help support, make sure they have a great vacation. So I'm really, really excited for this opportunity because that's kind of where my heart's been in education, is within special education. And so now I'm not in school, which I do miss it. But now this kind of gives me that, I can kind of, support in this way.
So listeners,
cruising and education,
in addition
and
to what RacQuelle just said about that wonderful organization, if you want to hear more, there's another podcast. Go back and check out DCL Duo. We talk quite a bit about autism of the seas because, I just can't say enough from what I've heard about the value that organization provides and the support that would be appreciated if, if that's, if you want to do that.
Right. And I think a lot of people don't know about it. And we're ones, like I talk about accessibility and cruising all the time. Because I want people to understand that cruising is for everybody, regardless of your age or your disability or ability or whatever. I personally feel like cruising is designed for everyone. And if you have some needs or you need accommodations, they will work it out to make sure you have the best experience. So that's kind of like, if you watch our vlogs, I try to share, things regarding accessibility and accommodations. And whenever I'm booking clients, I'm always talking to them about these things because I feel like some people feel like I can't cruise because I'm in a wheelchair or because, I'm developmentally delayed, but there's resources and supports there for those who want to cruise. It's not designed for just,
So anything else?
I have quite a few.
I know. I see the wheels turning. RacQuelle's probably thinking, not until tomorrow.
Yeah,
that's it as of today.
I'm trying to think of one that we have that's really big. Oh, we have our group cruise on board MSC Seashore for July 4th. Talking about MSC.
MH Adventures is doing a group cruise?
Yes, right now we have 110 people booked. So,
wow, that's wonderful. So
we're excited for that.
Is this your first group cruise?
This is our first official group cruise. We tried to do one last year, the year before, and it didn't really. I think we had 2 people to book, 2 cabins for, so it didn't work out. But now that we've grown, our channel's grown, and I've talked about. So I purposely booked this cruise because I would say probably 60 to 70% of the people on board with us are either brand new to cruising or brand new to MSC. So I intentionally didn't do like a carnival cruise. I said, I want to kind of show people that MSC, because a lot of people, feel like they don't have the funds to cruise, or they want things to be, cheap as possible. And I'm like, well, we can do this 3-day cruise. This is the price. You got drinks, Wi-Fi, all of this. You have a expert here that has sailed MSC several times and is a avid cruiser, so I can kind of help guide and support those. It's, I guess, that teacher in me, help guide and support those who are new to cruising, those new to MSC, and we've had a really nice turnout. Surprisingly, I wasn't expecting it to grow as big as it has, but yeah. So July 4th we'll be on MSC Seashore, and I actually went and did a test run on the cruise, last week, 2 weeks ago? I was on MSC Seashore just to give a test run, and I did a video to share with everyone about this is what the ship looks like. And, as a group, we'll kind of talk about some of the ins and outs of MSC and what not to do, what to do kind of thing. But yeah, so I think we're excited for that. But we have quite a few cruises coming up.
And we got a land trip too.
So are you still taking signups?
I have 4 more cabins left.
Well, hey, let's do a commercial. Tell everybody. Well, wait a minute. This is not going to come out. Well, you don't care. I mean, if they're still available,
it's still available.
Yeah. So tell everyone, how to contact. Give a little spiel.
So we're cruising MSC Seashore. July 4th through the 7th. It's a short 3-day cruise over the July 4th weekend, or it's not a weekend, I guess it's midweek. 3-day cruise. It's going to 2 ports, so it's really nice for those that are apprehensive about getting on a cruise ship, because you're going to probably be off the ship more than on the ship, because we're going to be at Nassau, Bahamas, as well as Ocean Cay, Bahamas, which is their MSC's private island. And the price is pretty reasonable, and you have drinks, Wi-Fi included, MH Family Adventure shirt, some onboard credit, some other perks. We have a hotel block before the cruise, and then of course you'll have me there, us there. We've cruised MSC to kind of help guide. If you are someone leaning toward maybe trying out MSC, I think a 3-day cruise is perfect. So we have a few slots available.
Where's it sailing from?
It is sailing from Port Canaveral. So you can make it a long week and go to Disney and do other things, but quick cruise, really like a tester cruise for MSC, or just cruising in general.
Are your sisters going?
One of my sisters is my sister Cheryl, Auntie Cheryl. Everyone loves her. She will not be on this one because we have a cruise like a few days after that she's booked on for a week, and with her PTO and all that, she couldn't make it. Both of them work. So we're on another cruise right after. So she'll be on that one, but not our group cruise.
So Ron, other than working, what do you like to do on the cruise? You have any buddies going on the group cruise?
Not really. No buddies. I just really like spending time with the family. I enjoy the water. I enjoy the peace that the water gives me, the tranquility that it gives me. So, and just being with the kids.
Okay. What's on your cruise or travel bucket list?
I've been looking at some YouTube videos about Antarctica. So that's something that I would like to try. We're doing a land-based, we're going to Africa in December of this year.
Oh.
Of this year. We're going to
wow.
So we'll see if I can spend some extended time there. So maybe a month, and we'll see what happens.
That's wonderful. Africa's on my bucket list.
Yeah, we're going because my brother just moved there for work. So he's there. I'm like, well, we have to plan a trip. So we're going to probably be gone 3 to 4 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when he lived in Chicago, we would drive, and I'll just share this. Every time we drove from Chicago to Chicago from Ohio, we would pass Gary, Indiana, and we would stop because that's where the Jackson Fives grew up. My kids didn't appreciate it after the fifth time, but I loved it.
So they have don't they have the house sort of like a museum?
The house is still there.
Yes.
Well, it's not a museum now. It's closed off, but you can see the exterior of it. And they had a huge mural that they've since taken down. But yeah, it's just kind of cool to go down the same street. And, we love Motown. So Motown's like one of our things. Our dog named David Ruffin.
I knew that. I did know that because you refer.
Yeah, and we're looking to get another one, and he'll be Otis. So we love Motown.
So what are you working on at? Well, sounds like you're so busy. I was going to ask, what are you working on at MH Family Adventures? So I kind of know the answer. You're working on your group cruise. You're getting ready to go on your cruise to volunteer with Autism SC. Anything else that the audience should know about that you're working on?
I'm just really pushing out more cruise content. We try to keep our content, informative and educational, but also entertaining. We're working on, we have a couple, I'm not going to share too many details, but some brand deals coming this year. So we're really excited for that, working with some cruise lines.
Great.
So that, Andrew's graduating, and with him being autistic, we're trying to create a plan for him in the family business to see kind of where he fits in. So I think he's going to probably be, since he won't be in school, he'll be cruising with me more often, maybe as my cameraman. And so we're training him to do these things. What else? Just trying to cruise. I try to cruise as often as I can. And when I see a deal, I'm like, okay, well, let's go ahead and, put some money on it and just try to get out there and cruise and create content. I really want to grow our channel, more. Like I said, 15,000, we did not expect to be there this soon. So it seems like we're kind of being favored a little bit in the algorithm, if you've heard of the algorithm on YouTube and everything. And so it's like even some of our old content that had like 200 views here recently, we're getting a lot of views on some of our older content. So I think we're starting to push us out a little more. So I think with that, we should have some pretty good growth this year. So really excited for that. But yeah, just to continue to grow, we really want to encourage people to cruise. So that's how we can do that by sharing, how you can make it affordable. When I'm booking clients, I'm looking at, budget and how can we make this more budget friendly. And so just trying to continue to push our channel, push our travel agency.
I know you mentioned the contact information for the group cruise. In general, how can listeners follow MH Family Adventures on the internet and social media?
Yeah, so you can find MH Family Adventures on YouTube just by searching MH Family Adventures on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. We'll pop up that way. If you're looking to book a cruise, you can go to our website, which is majoradventurestravel.com. But I can also be reached on social media, like by Messenger. I do respond to messages. So if you're interested in cruising, have questions about cruising, or what have you, that's how I can be reached. But yeah, if you just Google or search MH Family Adventures, I think we're to the point now where we kind of pop up.
So before we let you go, a couple of light questions, hopefully fun questions, and then perhaps an oddball question. So the first question, this is a softball question. This helps me. I get all kind of great ideas.
Okay.
And this is for each of you. What's your favorite cruise drink and cruise food?
Now we're not huge drinkers. I have been drinking a little more lately.
Yeah.
But favorite cruise drink, I'm gonna probably say a rum punch. I love rum. I would probably say a rum punch, or even a margarita. Something simple. We have trouble ordering from a bar because we don't know what to order. So I tend to just order something quick that I know, which is like margarita or rum punch.
I will sample hers because I really don't drink, so I will sample hers. And if it was left to me, I would be buying Shirley Temples, but that's about it.
What do y'all like to eat on cruises?
And this is the thing. I love to eat. I don't really I think because I'm a really good cook. It's hard for me when I cruise because
You're critiquing.
yeah, but I've learned to not be overly critical because you have to understand people aren't going to cook the food the way you would cook it at home. So I honestly, I mean, it might look like it in the vlogs that I eat a lot, but I really don't. A lot of times I'm sampling it to share kind of what it's about. But I would say my favorite restaurant on a cruise ship was recently actually on Princess was Sabatini's, which is their Italian restaurant.
So y'all do like to go to the specialty restaurants then?
When we can, we do. When it's within the budget, we'll sacrifice an excursion or sacrifice something to try a specialty dining, especially if it's something new for us. Like we've cruised Carnival so much now that we'll probably never go back to their Italian restaurant because we've done it so many times. We probably won't go back to the steakhouse unless it's a special, occasion or what have you. So yeah, we will do specialty dining, but I would say I like Blue Iguana on Carnival.
That is
like
mine too.
Breakfast pretty much on my cruise. And yeah. Yes, that's my go-to, and yeah, I would say that's probably about it. There's nothing else that I
Stir fry. What's that?
Oh, Mongolian wok.
And I love the Indian food. What was the name of that?
Mm-hmm. There's not enough Indian food on cruises. We were on Carnival. Oh gosh, it was going to Alaska. We went to Alaska, and they had masala tiger, and I think it's the only ship that still has an actual Indian.
Well, when you go on Princess
like
again,
go
to Tamarind.
But yeah,
I hear it's unbelievable. They call it
Okay.
Asian fusion. So
I will try that.
okay. The second question: what's your most memorable, or funniest, or even most embarrassing cruise or port experience?
You said cruise or
port.
or port experience.
I would say for me, I guess it was only embarrassing the kids were there. I fell out of a hammock at Coco Cay, trying to be cute, and that was one of our first cruises. That was our second, right? So you might catch it in the vlogs. Like I am not one of the cute vloggers. I'm not going to do all that, dressing up, wearing makeup, this and that. But we were. This was our second cruise. It was Christmas, and I saw the hammock. Never laid in a hammock before. And so I was like, "Ooh, Andrew, I want you to get a good video and picture of me in this hammock, and I'm going to look beautiful." So I'm like trying to get posed up for the camera. I learned that day that I just need to pose naturally because as soon as I got in it and started trying to shift, to look cute, I flipped out of it so fast.
And you say that's on video?
It's on video.
I'm going to find that tonight. I've been watching.
Yeah, it's in the vlog, and I flipped hard and fell, and Drew's just still filming. He's in my face. Zoe Marie's trying to pick me up, and she's making sound effects because I'm heavy. So it was fun, but it was embarrassing. And I, to this day, have not gotten in a hammock. That was the one and done.
So Ron, what's your most memorable, funniest, or most embarrassing moment?
For me, the most memorable, and I wasn't with RacQuelle, the family, she sent me on a Beach Boys cruise last year. And I got to see the Isley Brothers, the Temptations, the Beach Boys.
Oh, wow. Do you remember the name of that cruise? Was it called the Beach Boys cruise?
It was through the Six Man experience.
Yeah. Okay, Six Man, all right.
Yeah, and it was on Norwegian Pearl.
Okay. I was curious because, again, a couple of weeks before your episode, the president of Star Vista Live, and they do a series of music theme cruises. Okay. So they do, the one that they do that the Beach Boys tend to be on, it's called Malt Shop Memories. Mm-hmm. Then they have one called the Soul Train Cruise. They have the Country Western Cruise. So I thought it was one of those, but yeah, Six Man's kind of similar. Yeah. So you got into that nostalgia, huh?
Yes, and I just absolutely loved it, and I'm hoping that my wife, hint, will gift me another cruise.
Well, I have some good choices for you, RacQuelle. So, okay, I'm into what's called theme cruising, and I've done a lot a lot of writing about it and research on it, and I've gone on them. Actually, my next cruise, which is like in 10 days or 2 weeks or something like that,
Okay.
it's also on the NCL Pearl,
Uh-huh.
and it's the Maxwell cruise.
Oh yeah.
So it's a
Nice.
series of R&B artists.
Oh gosh,
Okay.
that's a dream cruise for me. I love
Yeah.
R&B. I love music, so that's like
Finally,
for me.
the oddball question. So oddball only means doesn't necessarily have anything to do with cruising. So
Mhm.
you have a huge following, and it's going to probably be triple this by this time next year. And I'm sure I'm going to have you back anyway. But you have a huge following. So welcome to MH Family Adventures followers, friends, your family, whoever might be tuning in. We hope you have enjoyed what you have heard, and we'll come back and check out some other episodes of the Joy of Cruising podcast. So, Ron and RacQuelle, tell our listeners and your fans and fans one thing about yourself that no one knows.
Well, I was going to say that I'm an introvert. I've shared that before, though. People don't believe it because I'm the one, like I'm the face you see on our channel. But I am truly an introvert. But that's something that some people may already know.
You do, RacQuelle, you do a good job of being an introvert who can pull off being an extrovert.
I'm an extrovert to my camera, but not to people.
Yeah. I know that. I know
He's an
that
extrovert.
because I am an off the charts introvert.
Uh-huh.
I could never ever do what you do.
Uh-huh. Well, I don't think I could do what you do. Like asking the questions and really engaging, like that's hard for me. So yeah, I'm an introvert. A lot of people don't realize that. I think when they meet me, they can see that I'm kind of like, I'm not gonna say socially awkward, but I am truly an introvert. But when I love something, I can talk about it and share about it, like education, special needs, cruising, I can talk about it.
Mhm.
But something, I guess it wasn't always in my cards to have my own business or to even be a regular cruiser. I initially went to school to become an obstetrician. So that's something people may not know. When I graduated high school, my plan was to go to med school and all of that, but college chemistry didn't work out for me.
Yeah, chemistry tends to be a
after I
speed
got
bump for
started.
a lot of aspiring doctors.
Yes. It was for me for sure. And then I thought about maybe just going to school to become a midwife. And I was just kind of fixated on, I guess child development and things like that. And so that was kind of my initial plan. And then, like I said, I didn't even think once I started in education that I would be leaving after 19 years to do this. But I'm thankful for it.
Ron, tell us something
and
your
what's happening
friends
right
and
now.
family have no clue about you.
Two things. One of our first dates, we went skydiving. We skydived
15,000 feet
15,000 feet tandem and
in Cape Canaveral.
Cape Canaveral.
Oh,
That was one of
wow.
our first dates.
Wow.
And then we went to, was it the Lady and Son in Savannah, Georgia? So we've always traveled and had the affinity. Now, here's something that no one knows. I first proposed to my wife the day after she won $50,000 as a lottery.
Get
So
out.
at that time, I thought it was the right time to upgrade our relationship. And that's the God's honest truth.
All righty. That's a great oddball answer. I should say not oddball answer. A great answer to an oddball question. So, well, RacQuelle and Ron, it is so good to get to meet you virtually. Thank you for coming
Likewise.
on the Joy of Cruising podcast. You cruise a lot. You're a leader in the cruising community, and I fully expect to have you back sooner rather than later, if you will be back. Sometime in
would love to.
24, maybe after you go on Sun Princess, because I'll be so psyched up to go. I don't think I'll be able to wait. So
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you having us.
Thank you so much.
all righty. All the best to you. And as they say, I'll see you on the ocean.
Yes.
Be well.
All right. Take care now.
Thank you.
Bye.
The Joy of Cruising and Cruising Interrupted, each $16.99 plus shipping, and new release, The Joy of Cruising Again for $18.99 can be ordered at the link on thejoyofcruisingpodcast.com. For each of the 3 books, use the discount code Joy of Cruising Podcast and get $4 off. The Joy of Cruising books are also available at Amazon. Order the ebook at Amazon or your favorite online retailer. Stay in touch by joining the Joy of Cruising Podcast Facebook group or following the Joy of Cruising Podcast on Instagram. We're constantly adding new shows. Please leave a review and tell a friend about us. We hope you enjoyed this brief escape to the ocean. See you next week.